So today we will discuss about architecture of Intel 8085 microprocessor and its pin diagram. So we will start with register organization of 8085 microprocessor. The registers in 8085 microprocessor are accumulator register, B register, C register, D register, E register, H register, L register. All these registers are general purpose registers and they have the capacity to store 8 bits. The accumulator register is the most important register of 8085 microprocessor because it is the register that stores one of the operand. Also, it stores after operation the result. Any arithmetical logical operation is performed whenever in 8085 microprocessor. Then after performing the operation, the result will be stored generally in accumulator register. Then we talk about temporary register. This is the internal register of 8085 microprocessor. It is used by microprocessor for its own operation, but it is not used by user. For example, microprocessor wants to transfer the data from B to A. Then it will directly take place from B to A. And now if it wants to add the data of accumulator with C register. So whenever this addition take place, accumulator data is there and C register data will first move to temporary register and from there A plus C will be added and then result will again be stored into accumulator register. So temporary register will be holding second operand whenever any arithmetical operation is performed like this. Then other two registers are 16-bit registers. These are stack pointer and program counter. These are the memory pointer registers. Stack pointer refers to that particular 16-bit register. It refers to that particular 16-bit register which points to the stack memory. Stack memory is that area of memory where temporary data is to be stored, that is to be retrieved soon. And this is based upon the principle of last in, first out. Then another register is program counter. Program counter is also 16-bit register that is also used to hold the memory address. But which memory address? Whenever microprocessor is to execute next instruction address will be stored into program counter. So program counter is a 16-bit register that is used to store the address of next instruction to be executed. So all sequencing will be controlled by program counter of 8085 microprocessor. Then another important register is instruction register. This is the register which always holds the opcode. Whenever microprocessor is to execute any instruction, then first it fetches the opcode corresponding to that which is stored in the memory. And from this data bus, this opcode will come and this opcode will first go to instruction register where it is getting decoded. Whenever it is getting decoded, then microprocessor will come to know about what operation it has to perform and how many machine cycles it will take. So machine cycle encoding will take place here in the decoding section and then it will decide whether another operation is to be performed or this is the first or last operation of the instruction. So these are all about the registers. Now arithmetical logical unit, whenever it is performing any arithmetical or logical instructions, then flag register must be updated. Flag register is our 8-bit register, but we are using only 5 flag bits and these 5 flag bits correspond to flip-flops. These correspond to flip-flops and 5 flag bits are carry, parity, auxiliary carry, 0, sign flag. So whatever bit is being set, then corresponding flip-flop is set actually. If carry is 1, it means the corresponding flip-flop is set. So whatever the status of the flip-flop, that will be reflected in the flag bit of the flag register. So flag register will be updated after every arithmetical and logical instruction execution. Then after the registers, we talk about address and data bus. As we know, this 8085 microprocessor is having 16-bit address bus and 8-bit data bus. And the 16-bit address bus is divided into two parts: upper address line A8 to A15, lower address lines A0 to A7. Now, lower address lines are multiplexed with the data bus D0 to D7, and this multiplex address data bus is known as AD0 to AD7. Because on the same line it is having the address, on the same line it is having the data. That's why we say this bus is multiplex, because it is used for multiple operations, for address as well as for data. Now whenever microprocessor has to execute any instruction, it has to demultiplex these two, address and data lines. How this operation will be carried out? This will be carried out by the special signal, address latch enable signal, which is generated by the timing and control unit. So when ALE, which we have already discussed in demultiplexing of 8085 microprocessor address and data bus, we have already discussed this point there also. Whenever ALE is 1, in that case, whenever ALE signal is high, then first address comes on this multiplexed bus. Then this address is latched, and then ALE becomes low. When ALE becomes low, then this bus can be used as the data bus, which can carry either the opcode or it can carry 8-bit data. So here demultiplexing takes place, AD0 to AD7. First this bus will be having address, and after that the same bus will be having the data over it. So this has been decided by the address latch enable signal. Then we talk about timing and control signals. There are 6 timing and control signals here. In all: read bar signal, write bar signal, address latch enable signal, S1, S0, IOM bar signal, hold. This is not considered. Read bar, write bar, ALE, S1, S0, and IOM bar. These are the 6 signals, timing and control signals. Now, ALE signal is address latch enable signal, which is latching the address. Whatever is the input at the latch, that will be stored. When AL is 1, it means this multiplexed bus is having address. When this AL is 0, it means this is having the data. Whenever microprocessor has to read data from some memory or IO device, then it must generate this read bar signal. And this is, as you can see, this is the active low output signal. So whenever this signal is 0, it means then only read bar signal will be activated. Similarly, if microprocessor wants to write data to memory or IO device, then this write bus signal must be activated. It will be activated only when it is sending 0 across this pin. Now we talk about IO MBAR signal. This is also output signal. This is also output signal which is generated by timing and control unit of 8085 microprocessor. What does it mean? Whenever this signal output is 1, if this is generating 1 as an output, it means now it will be used for IO related operation, input output related operation. And whenever whenever IO MBAR signal is, you can say, if this signal is generated as 0 by 8085 microprocessor, then it says that this signal is IO MBAR signal is 0. It means now it will be used for memory related operations. Whenever it has to carry memory related operation, then IO MBAR signal that must be taken as 0. So depending upon whether it is generating 1 or it is generating 0, it will do IO related operation or it will do memory related operation. Then we talk about S1, S0 status signals. So S1, S0, I show you by a table. Yes. So this is S1, S0 status signal representation here. IO ember, whenever IO ember signal is 0 means it is doing memory related operation, and S1, S0 signal decides whether it has to read the opcode or it has to read the data or it has to write the data to memory. So it will be decided by the status signal. How microprocessor comes to know that it is fetching the opcode or it is fetching the data? Because in both of the cases, whether it is doing opcode fetch operation or it is doing memory read operation, in both of these operations, it is simply fetching the opcode and data. Now, how microprocessor will come to know that if it is fetching the opcode, it must go to instruction register where it has to be decoded. But if it is the data, it will directly go to that register. So microprocessor comes to know by the status of these signals. Whenever both these signals are 1, 1, it means microprocessor is fetching the opcode. And whenever S1, S0 are 1 and 0, it means it is fetching the data. Then if it wants to do the write operation, memory write operation, because it is memory operation, so IO ember will be taken as 0. And whenever it is the write operation, then S1 is always taken as 0 and S0 is always taken as 1. For opcode fetching, control signal read bar should be activated, means fetching means reading the opcode. And opcode is always reading from the memory. So read bar signal should be active. Active means it should be 0. Then again, memory read bar signal should be active. And when it is the case of memory write, then write bar signal should be activated, means write bar should be 0. Then we talk about IO read and IO write. Whenever it is doing IO operations, so IO ember signal that must be taken as 1. If it is IO read, then same as that case of read operation, S1 signal is 1, S0 is 0. So IO read, S1 is 1, S0 is 0. And read bar signal must be activated whenever microprocessor wants to read data from IO device. But remember, IO ember signal should be taken as 1. Then IO write operation, it has to be connected with IO device. So IO ember will be set as 1 because IO related operation is to be performed. Because it has to write data. So for that case, for IO write operation, S1 will be taken as 0, S0 will be taken as 1. And write bar signal should be active. That should be 0. So we are basically using these 5 machine cycles of code fetch, memory read, memory write, IO write, but remaining we never use. But we should be clear about whenever it is the interrupt acknowledgement signal, then this control signal INTA bar should be activated. And for halt, hold, and reset control signals, read bar, write bar, both of these are in high impedance state because neither reading or nor writing operation is being performed, and interrupt acknowledgement should also be 1. It should not be active. Now this is about S1, S0 and IO ember signal corresponding to the status of these signals of code fetch, memory read, memory write, IO read and IO write operations are being performed. Then we come back to that architecture diagram. So in this architecture diagram, whenever microprocessor wants to read data from memory IO, this should be activated. Whenever it wants to write data to memory IO, it should be activated. ALE is used for demultiplexing of address data bus. S1, S0, whenever both these signals are 1, 1, it means it has to fetch the opcode. When this is 1, this is 0, it has to read data. When this is 1, this is 0, it means it has to write the data to memory or IO, depending upon IO ember signal. If it is 1, it means IO related operations are to be performed. If it is 0, means memory related operations are to be performed. So this is all about the 6 control signals which are generated by timing and control unit. Next, we talk about hold signal. Hold signal is actually external initiated signal. There are 4 external initiated signal in 8085 microprocessor. First is, this is hold, reset in bar, then ready, and then these are the interrupt signals. These are the interrupt signals. So these are the 4 external initiated signals. So first we talk about reset in bar. Whenever reset in bar is active, means reset in bar, again you can say this is the input signal, direction of arrow shows this is input, direction output means this is output signal. Output signal will be generated by microprocessor, and these signals will be given to the microprocessor from some external device. So whenever reset in bar is given to this microprocessor, then reset in bar. So that signal, that will be, whenever this signal is 0, then microprocessor will be in reset mode. And what it does in reset mode, program counter is always initialized to 0000H. And in reset mode, it will suspend all its operation. So whenever the device is in reset mode, it happens only when this is activated from the pin reset in bar. Then second we talk about ready. Ready signal is always used for slow peripheral synchronization. Whenever microprocessor is performing any operation, it is writing data to any external device. And that device is very slow. In that case, microprocessor has to wait. So to make microprocessor, to keep microprocessor in wait state, what is done? This ready input is made 0. Whenever this is 0, then that slow peripheral will be busy in completing its task and microprocessor will be in the wait state. And as slow peripheral completes its task, then this ready will be made as 1. Then microprocessor will resume its operation from the same where it has switched, where it has stopped. Okay, so ready signal that decides whenever microprocessor is to interface with the slow peripherals. Then we talk about hold signal. Hold signal is the hold request which is given to 8085 microprocessor. Don't get confused. Hold signal is not used to hold the microprocessor. No. It is only used when some external device, for example, DMA, Direct Memory Access Controller, wants hold over the 3 buses of microprocessor. Whenever any external device wants to use its 3 buses, address bus, data bus, control bus, then it will be sending the hold request signal to 8085 microprocessor. That this particular device wants to use its 3 buses. So this hold request will be given to microprocessor by some external device such as DMA controller, so as to have the hold over the 3 buses, and so that that particular DMA controller device can perform its own operation using these 3 buses. In that case, microprocessor will not be having any hold over the 3 buses. It will be used only by the DMA controller. So this is made possible whenever this hold request is given to this microprocessor. Fourth external signal which is generated is interrupt signal. Whenever any interrupt signal is generated from an external device, for example, I am getting this trap. This is the external interrupt input signal used in 8085 microprocessor. If microprocessor is getting any interrupt request across this pin, then what microprocessor will be doing whenever it is getting interrupt request at the trap, whatever current operation it is doing, it will complete its current instruction. And then it will switch to the program corresponding to the trap request. Then it will execute its complete program. After execution, it will go back to the main program and execute its previous instruction. So switching of task takes place. Interruption is given to microprocessor to stop its own operation and execute the operation requested by the external device. So there are 5 sources of interrupt request that can be given to 8085 microprocessor. There are 5 pins from where interrupt can be given to 8085 microprocessor. These are INTR, interrupt request, RST 7.5, RST 6.5, RST 5.5, and another is trap. So these are the 5 input pins from where request can be sent to 8085 microprocessor. Then depending upon whether microprocessor want to entertain the request given by the microprocessor or it want to ignore the request, there are two possible categories of interrupts. One is maskable interrupt, other is non-maskable interrupt. Maskable interrupts are the interrupts which can be ignored or can be delayed. Non-maskable interrupts are the interrupts which cannot be delayed, cannot be ignored. Only trap interrupt is the non-maskable interrupt. Whenever interrupt request comes across this input, then microprocessor cannot ignore it because this is a non-maskable interrupt. So in that case, microprocessor will complete its current instruction and it will execute the program corresponding to this request. And if it is the case of request is generated from RST 5.5, 6.5, 7.5 or INTR, then it is possible that microprocessor can ignore it. So if it wants to entertain that request, then it will always complete the current instruction and switch to the program corresponding to these request signals. So if the interrupt is non-maskable, then it will entertain that interrupt. If it is maskable, then it can ignore this request and keep executing its own program. Then corresponding to these 5 interrupt requests, these are INTR, RST 5.5, RST 6.5, RST 7.5, TRAP. These are all external initiated interrupt requests. Then out of these 5, only INTR request signal is having the acknowledgement. Whenever any interrupt request is coming from INTR pin, then in response to that INTR request signal, microprocessor will be generating interrupt acknowledgement signal, INTA bar signal. It tells that request has been accepted. Now interrupt acknowledgement will be sent, means this interrupt request will be entertained. Then after the externally initiated signals, as we are saying about interrupt acknowledgement signal is generated in response to INTR request. Similarly, HLDA acknowledgement will be generated after the hold request. Whenever any external device DMA controller is requesting microprocessor to release the control over the buses, address bus, data bus, control bus, then microprocessor 8085 will be sending an acknowledgement HLDA to that external device that it is ready to release the control over the buses. Now these buses can be used by DMA controller for its own operation. So after this, we come across reset out signal. Whenever reset in bar signal is given to microprocessor to reset the device, whenever this is made as 0, then microprocessor is reset. Now, if microprocessor wants to reset any other device, then this can be made possible by reset out signal. So, reset out signal is used to reset any external device whenever microprocessor itself is in reset mode. Then we talk about another signals which are given to timing and control unit. Timing and control unit are getting these two signals, clock generator signal. These are two signals where external crystal oscillator is connected, which is used for generation of clock frequency on which all the operations will be carried out. All the operations are synchronized with respect to clock frequency. So generally, this crystal oscillator is used of 6.25 megahertz frequency, and this frequency is divided by 2 internally by 8085 microprocessor to get a frequency of 3.125 megahertz, and this 3.125 megahertz is the operating frequency of 8085 microprocessor, and all operations will be carried out with this clock frequency. So whatever clock frequency it is using for its own operation, that particular clock signal can be sent to any other device for its own use. So this will be transmitted across clock out pin. So there are two output signal here, clock out and reset out. Whenever microprocessor is in reset, then it can make other device in reset by reset out pin, and whichever frequency is used by microprocessor here, 3.125 megahertz, that will be given to any other, that can be given to any other device using clock out output signal. Now, after this, we are having serial input output control. This is the important serial input output control. Whenever microprocessor wants to read the data bit by bit, then it will be given as SID line. So it will receive the data bit by bit. Whenever microprocessor wants to write data to any external device, memory or IO device bit by bit, then it will be carried out using SOD. So what is the difference? If I am saying that a accumulator is loaded with 40H, 40H means 01000000. So this 8-bit data will come from through this data bus and it will be loaded into accumulator, because these 8 bits are coming together in parallel and loaded into accumulator. So we say this is the parallel communication. But if this 8-bit data is to be sent through a single line, then we will send 1 bit at a time. Then at the next clock cycle, next bit, and at next clock cycle, next bit will be sent. So first I'll be sending 0, then 0, then 0, then 0, then 0, then 0, then 1, then 0. So 40H will be sent in this manner. So whenever we are receiving, yes, this 8085 microprocessor is receiving through bit by bit through SID input line, then we say this is the serial input data. Similarly, it can out the data serially bit by bit across this line SOD. So these two lines are only used for serial transmission, input as well as output. Now this completes architecture diagram along with the pins. Now important thing is, you can see this is the data bus. In this is the data bus through which all the flow of data, all the flow of output takes place within the microprocessor. And timing and control unit will be generating necessary control signal that will be simply making other units to work. If microprocessor has to add the two register content, accumulator and C, then this code will be fetched, decoded, and now timing and control unit will generate necessary control signal, and then C data will be coming to temporary register added with A. Then result will be stored again in accumulator and flag register will be updated. Then this address latch, increment, decrement address latch, that is there for incrementing or decrementing task whenever it is doing the access to the memory. So this is all about architecture of 8085 microprocessor. Then coming to the same pin diagram, which we already have discussed. We have discussed all the pins. I'm coming to the pin diagram. So pin diagram can be drawn in this way or in this way. This is more easier because it is easy to learn, because it is having AD0 to AD7 address lines from pin number 12 to 19. So this is shown here, AD0 to AD7 multiplexed address data bus from pin number 12 to 19. Then another 8 pins are upper address line, because address lines total 16 है in number और data lines 80 हैं और data lines lower address lines के साथ multiplexed है. So this is A8 to A15 from pin number 21 to pin number 28. So here we have shown all the pins, this AD0 to AD7 and A8 to A15. These buses, address and data bus. Then we talk about timing and control signals. So 6 signals are there: address latch enable signal, S1, S0 signal, IOM bar, read bar, write bar. Here also these signals have been shown. This is S0, ALE, write bar, read bar, S1 and IOM bar signal. Then we talk about external initiated signals. External initiated signals are reset in bar signal. External initiated signal is reset in bar signal. Then second is ready signal, then hold signal, and fourth is the interrupt. Interrupt sources can be 5. So 5 requests can come across any of these. But at a time only 1 request will be given. So if at a time trap, RST 7.5 both are active at the same time, then priority of trap interrupt is highest. then RST 7.5, after this RST 6.5, then RST 5.5, and INTR is the least priority interrupt. So these are the 4 external initiated category signals. In interrupt category, there are further 5 signals. Okay. Now 2 acknowledgement signals are there. Whenever INTR request is coming to microprocessor, then in response to that, it is generating interrupt acknowledgement signal, which is shown as INTA bar. Whenever hold request is coming to microprocessor for releasing the control over the buses, then hold acknowledgement will be sent to the external device such as GMA controller. Then there are two serial input output port pins, SID for input to input the data bit by bit serially, SOD to out the data bit by bit serially. Then there are 2 out signals, clock out, reset out. Whenever microprocessor is in reset mode, then it can send the reset out signal to reset other device. Similarly, the operating frequency is generated across this X1, X2. Crystal oscillator is attached here. This is of 6.25 megahertz frequency. It is internally divided by microprocessor and it is generating the frequency 3.125 megahertz. Then if this clock signal on which all operations are being carried out, if this frequency is to be used by any other device, then this can be sent across clock out output signal. Then it is having, after this frequency signal which is generated across a crystal oscillator here, there are 2 power signals. One is VCC, other is VSS. VCC and VSS. This X1, X2 is shown here. X1, X2, where crystal oscillator is connected. Then we talk about power signals, VCC and VSS. Here pin number 20 is always connected to ground, that is VSS, and this pin number 40 will be connected to plus 5 volt, that is VCC. So for making this IC operational, it must be given the supply voltage. So pin number 40 is connected across 5 volt and pin number 20 is connected across ground. So this completes the pin diagram. You can categorize the pin diagram into 6 category of signal: address data bus, control and status signals. These are the external initiated signals. These are the 2 acknowledgement signal, serial input output port signal, and power and frequency signal. So I finish here. I stop here. Thank you, Beta.